Alexander Theatre, Helsinki. The most prevalent haunted story for the Alexander Theatre in Helsinki involves a ghost who arrived with its bricks from the Bomasund fortress during the Crimean War. This ghost, possibly a soldier, is associated with unexplained door openings and has sometimes been described as a Phantom of the Opera figure. The ghost is said to roam the theater, particularly the area connected to the building's original purpose and its ghostly origins. This video provides a detailed account of the Alexander Theatre's haunting. The Alexander Theatre was built using bricks from the Bomasund fortress, a Russian garrison that was bombed during the Crimean War. The story suggests that along with the bricks, a ghostly apparition or spirit was transported to the new theater, becoming a permanent resident. The ghost is often described as a Russian soldier who died in the Battle of Bomasund, leading to the theory that a soldier's spirit came with the bricks. Ghostly sightings and phenomena. Opening doors. Staff and visitors have reported doors opening on their own, a classic sign of a ghostly presence. One director felt a hand on his back but found no one there upon turning around, a chilling sign of a spiritual encounter. Children have reported seeing army boots hanging in midair. Confusion with genie. During one performance, a chandelier crashed when the word genie was mentioned, possibly because the word was confused with spirit or ghost in Finnish, indicating a sensitivity to spiritual references. A roaming apparition. The ghost is sometimes referred to as the Phantom of the Opera and is said to roam the theater, particularly the areas associated with the opera house's original function and the mysterious room linked to its ghostly origins. Searching for lost love. Some versions of the legend suggest the ghost, named Pyotr Vasilievich, is searching for his lost love, Sophie, and his spirit is trapped in an endless search within the Finnish National Theatre, Helsinki. The Finnish National Theatre in Helsinki is rumored to be haunted by several spirits, including a grey lady or the ghost of Ida Ahlberg searching for her diary, and other restless actors. Like Urho Sommersalmi. One of the most notable ghosts is said to be the spirit of Urho Sommersalmi, a Finnish actor who murdered his wife and then hanged himself, and his ghost reportedly disappears if spotted by anyone. The Grey Lady. A ghost known as the Grey Lady, or possibly the actress Ida Ahlberg, is said to haunt the theater, endlessly searching for her lost diary or script. The ghost of Urho Sommersalmi. Actor Urho Sommersalmi is a well-known spectral resident, reportedly seen sitting in the director's stall or on the main stage. He murdered his wife with an axe and then hanged himself, and his spirit is said to vanish if anyone spots him. Other spirits. Other restless spirits are believed to inhabit the building's backstage areas, corridors, and changing rooms. Some legends mention the spirits of other actors, such as Arne Lepanen, or Arnie Leitinen, Beretta Lindberg, and Carlo Bergholm. Reported activity. Visitors and staff have reported a variety of paranormal phenomena, adding to the theater's reputation as one of Finland's most haunted buildings. The ghosts are said to walk around the building, making their presence felt throughout the historic structure. Omeninen Island near Finland. Omeninen refers to an island near Finland that was once a prison for social outcasts. Now known as the Island of Outcasts, or Ghost Island, and is the subject of local legends in a Finnish youth book by Meila Heikkilä titled Jokumatusarissa, Night on the Ghost Island. The island's history as a place of confinement contributes to its eerie reputation. Location and history. Omeninen, also known as Amene Ishelman, is an island located in the archipelago of Aristoceli, near the scenic town of Yuxum, according to TravelsE2.com. Prison colony. Historically, the island served as a place for the confinement of the cursed and desperate people, according to Ilkalapi's article in Amusette. Ghost Island. Due to its grim past, it gained the nickname Ghost Island. You don't have to imagine that hard because there's already a true story about it. It's a place that sailors still avoid today. The beach is rugged, and the island is hard to reach, with treacherous waters surrounding it. Those few who have been to the island claim that the place keeps you awake at night, and mooring ropes for boats always break. Sometimes there's the sound of a person whistling in the night, and stones cracking against one another. For centuries leading up to the mid-1850s, the church in charge of nearby Remadilla and Novo refused to allow some people to be buried in the church's sacred ground. Murderers, criminals, adulterers, suicides, and other sinners. Instead, the church loaded them onto a small boat or sleigh tugged along by another ship, took them to Omeninan Island, and dumped them. No coffin, usually no grave at all, and if there was a burial, it was only under a layer of moss. The vessel used to transport the dead was left abandoned by the island for fear of contamination by the sinful dead. The workers who took the dead there left the island as quickly as possible. There's a story floating around Finland, that I couldn't verify, that after World War II ended, some German soldiers being repatriated took their Finnish brides with them knowing they couldn't take them all the way to Germany. On the way home, near Omeninan Island, they threw the girls off the ship and into the icy waters, where most drowned. The lucky ones, or, perhaps, unlucky, made it to the shores of Omeninan Island, where they were never heard from again. Personally, I'm skeptical of this little tidbit, but the rest of the story of Omeninan Island is easily verifiable. In the 1960s, the Remadilla parish finally declared the island a burial place. They put up a cross and plaque at the island's northeastern tip. No one knows how many were taken to the island, and no record was kept of their names. Villa Klena, Helsinki. The Villa Klena ghost story concerns the spirit of Maria Klena, the second wife of Louis Klena, who is said to roam the property in Helsinki, Finland. Locals believe the ghost is the White Lady, who stayed at the house out of nostalgia and was displeased with earlier residents, scaring one English maid. The villa, now the residence of the Dutch ambassador, is thought to be more to her liking. The ghost. The ghost is believed to be Maria Klena, née Forsell, Louis Klena's second wife. The location. The villa is in Kaivo Puisto, Helsinki, Finland, and currently serves as the Dutch embassy's residence. The White Lady is said to maintain order and has scared previous residents, such as scaring an English maid almost to death when the British delegation resided there after World War II. Her ghost reportedly remains in the house because she was deeply nostalgic for her life there, says. Probably, she enjoyed her life, as it was back then so much, she was unable to leave the place even after death, and her nostalgic ghost stayed in the house to maintain the order. After the Second World War, the villa was housing the British delegation of the Allied Commission. Apparently, White Lady didn't like the new residents because, among other things, she scared one of the English maids, living in the house, almost to death. In 1999 the villa was let as a residence to the ambassador of the Netherlands, and sometime later it was sold altogether to the Netherlands state. Nowadays the house is the official Residence to the Ambassador of the Netherlands. Looks like the new owners of the house are more to white ladies' liking. Banff Springs Hotel is a reported location of multiple hauntings, including the ghosts of a young bride, bellman, and a haunted room number 873. Now sealed and combined with room number 875, but underlines of the door and lights above the door place remain visible and a ghost still supposedly haunts the room. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel is known for several haunting stories, the most famous being the legend of the ghost bride from the 1920s who died on the grand marble staircase on her wedding day after her veil caught fire or she tripped on it, leading to sightings of a veiled figure on the stairs and a phantom bride dancing in the Cascade Ballroom. Another notable spirit is Sam the Bellman, an elderly Scotsman who is said to be a helpful presence in the hotel. The Ghost Bride. The legend. The most well-known story is about a bride in the 1920s who, while going to her wedding banquet, tripped on her veil or had it catch fire from a nearby candle, causing her to fall down the grand marble staircase. Guests and staff have reported seeing a veiled figure gliding across the stairwell, as well as a spectral bride in the Cascade Ballroom, dancing on her own. She is also sometimes seen in a bathroom, preparing for a wedding, even when no wedding is scheduled for that day. An elderly Scotsman who served as the hotel's head bellhop in the mid-20th century, Sam is described as a kind and helpful spirit. Room 873. This room is rumored to be haunted after a murder-suicide incident involving a family. Other reported apparitions include a headless musician, a bartender, and cold spots on the 6th, 7th, and 9th floors. The Bowman Arts Centre in Lethbridge. Ghost story of the Bowman Arts Centre in Lethbridge, Alberta centers on a young Chinese girl named Star, who was allegedly beaten by a teacher in the women's restroom after being mistaken for a boy wearing trousers. The ghost story claims that the sounds of her crying can still be heard, particularly near the location of the old girls' washroom. A story that resonates with people who have reported hearing strange crying noises there. The incident. The story involves a young Chinese girl named Star who attended the Bowman School, which later became the Bowman Arts Center. She was severely beaten by a teacher for wearing trousers. The teacher mistakenly followed her into the girls' bathroom, thinking a boy had entered, and proceeded to beat her. Star was reportedly distressed and cried for days after the traumatic incident. The paranormal experience. Heard sounds. People who have taken classes at the Bowman Arts Center have reported hearing strange, unexplained crying noises, especially near the location of the former girls' washroom. Dismissal of claims. In the past, instructors dismissed these sounds as the wind or the imagination of the students. Confirmation. The legend provides a sense of relief and an explanation for those who have heard the mysterious crying. The location. Historical significance. The building, opened in 1912, was the first vocational training school in Alberta. Reputation. It is considered one of the most haunted locations in Alberta, according to various sources. Charles Camsell Hospital is regarded as one of Alberta's most haunted buildings. A former Jesuit college turned into a tuberculosis sanatorium. It was visited by the group Paranormal Explorers in 2005. The Charles Camsell Hospital is associated with many paranormal stories, including reports of a child singing on the second floor, the presence of a caretaker named Sam, and the apparitions of many Aboriginal spirits on various floors. Visitors have also reported feeling ill, smelling cigar smoke, and seeing flickering lights and screaming at night. A little girl's singing. A 2011 ghost hunting team documented a little girl singing on the second floor, which is described as a supernatural sound. Sam, the caretaker. One widely circulated story mentions a 1950s caretaker named Sam who was lobotomized after threatening the premier. He is said to haunt the hospital and can be seen outside the main control room. Aboriginal spirits. The hospital was also an Indian hospital, and there are numerous reports of the spirits of Aboriginal individuals haunting the building, including a young female spirit from the psychiatric ward. Flickering lights and screams. Local residents have reported seeing lights flickering and hearing screams at night, contributing to the hospital's haunted reputation. Physiological effects. Some visitors to the hospital have reported feeling unwell after being inside. Historical significance. The hospital has a long history, originally opening as a Jesuit college before becoming a military hospital for tuberculosis and, later, an Indian hospital. Many patients sent to the facility, particularly Aboriginal children, never returned home. Physical abandonment. The hospital closed in 1996 and has been abandoned and condemned due to issues such as asbestos. Dean House, Canada. The Dean House is known for a variety of chilling supernatural stories stemming from its turbulent history as a boarding house. The house's dark reputation includes the 1933 suicide of a bullied epileptic boy in the attic, the 1952 murder-suicide of the Umpville family in one of its apartments, and a reported sighting of a native man in the cellar. Visitors have also reported demonic laughter in the foyer, phantom voices, and disembodied footsteps. 1933 suicide. A 14-year-old boy, tormented for his epilepsy, took his own life in the attic. A blood stain is said to remain in the attic, impossible to remove. 1952 murder-suicide. Roderick Umpville brutally murdered his wife, Irma, before committing suicide in an apartment within the house. Their children witnessed the events. Haunted apparitions. Many accounts describe seeing a native man in the cellar, along with other shadowy figures and disembodied voices. Demonic laughter. In the 1990s, demonic laughter was reportedly heard emanating from the foyer, further solidifying the house's reputation as a terrifying place. Proximity to burial grounds. Some people believe the house may be built on an indigenous burial ground, which could explain some of the haunting phenomena. Dunvegan Provincial Park. A notable horror story associated with Dunvegan Provincial Park, Alberta, involves sightings of the Grey Lady, a ghost of a woman in a grey hooded cloak with bare feet who has been seen roaming the valley near the bridge. The haunting is also sometimes connected to a woman lost in a snowstorm, possibly searching for her husband, and a priest who appears sitting at his desk in the rectory. The Grey Lady of Dunvegan. Description: witnesses have described a figure, often referred to as the Grey Lady, wearing a hooded cloak, sometimes with bare feet. Location: the apparition is typically seen near the bridge in the Dunvegan area. Story: one version of the tale links the ghost to a woman who perished in a snowstorm while trying to find her husband. Another story mentions a priest appearing in his office. The Grey Lady of Dunvegan is a figure many have heard of in passing, a spectral presence that lingers faintly in the imagination before vanishing like a wisp of mist. Let's try to bring her story into clearer focus. In November 1960, shortly after the bridge's completion, two men were driving through the snowy, darkened valley. As they cautiously made their way across the bridge, they were shocked to see a woman leaning into the swirling snow, her head hidden beneath a hooded cloak. Despite the warmth of her cloak, her bare feet were exposed to the cold. The men slowed down, hoping to offer assistance, but she didn't acknowledge them. Concerned about stopping on the bridge, they continued to the other side and found a place to pull over. One man ventured back through the snow to check on her, calling out as he approached. However, the bridge was empty. Though he had followed their tire tracks through the snow, there were no footprints aside from his own. Despite the absence of evidence, both men had clearly seen her. Eager to encounter her again, they returned on several nights with friends in tow, focusing their efforts on the bridge. When they finally saw the figure again, she was further up a hill, seemingly picking berries in the snow. At that moment, they were convinced she was a spirit. Another account of the Dunvegan Bridge ghost is even more elusive. It is said that a man from Spirit River had a frightening encounter with the ghost woman. But he was so shaken by the experience that he never spoke of it again. Many descriptions of the ghost depict her more as wearing a nun's habit than a cloak, leading to her portrayal as a nun. But why would a nun from Dunvegan's distant past haunt a bridge built in the late 1950s? And why would anyone haunt Dunvegan Bridge, except that it's a picturesque spot, especially on quiet evenings? The Fairmont Hotel Macdonald in Edmonton. It is said some of the most regular guests at the historic Fairmont Hotel Macdonald have never made a reservation. That being said, the paranormal have little need for keys. One of the century-old hotel's best-known ghost stories comes from guests who stay on the 8th floor who report hearing the pounding of a horse's hooves through the halls. Back in 1914, the story goes, just as workers were pouring the foundation for the hotel, one of the workhorses, exhausted, dropped dead. Now, the ghost horse of the Fairmont Hotel Macdonald is said to gallop through the halls on the 8th floor, and sometimes in the basement, forever heard but never seen. But the hotel has captured more than one spirit within its walls over the last 100 years. A guest in one of the hotel's executive suites was the first to report the ghost of a man sitting in a wing chair smoking a pipe. This boatman is said to be the 1913 spirit of a sailor from the North Saskatchewan River. The river was a major fur trade route and steamboats came back and forth past the hotel. But it's not just the guests who have ghostly encounters. The night managers will sometimes have a phone call from one of the 6th floor rooms. When they run up the stairs to check on the guests, the room is vacant. Once, some of the Hotel Macdonald's engineers were working on the 6th floor only to discover that the deadbolt in a room had been locked from the inside. When they finally broke in, the room was empty. Staff, however, regard these paranormal pranksters as good-natured. In the staff-only area known as the Royal Service, or Switchboard, two colleagues were working well into the night when one commented on music playing vintage tunes from the 50s. When neither remembered the station, they discovered the radio was turned off. While no one has ever found the origin of the ghostly music, it seems fitting for the Hotel Macdonald, as CBC radio during that time period was broadcast from the top of the hotel, then one of the highest points in the city.